Program guy. Am I on?
You're on.
How would I? That little light didn't turn on.
Day 2, segment 1.
Day 2, segment 1. The ultimate listing presentation. This is the segment where we're going to talk about step 6. And step 6 was we went from interacting, which was where we actually ended up with an appointment, to preparation for the appointment. That's where we did our stuff. We got our folder together. We went to their house. We talked a little bit about getting there at the right time and everything. And went to the kitchen table. Then number 5 is we broke the ice, kind of chit-chatted. We did the things that are just meant to be not work. Ideally, you'd look on the wall and see if they had something hanging on the wall to bring it up and talk about things like that. And then number 6 is what happens after we transition. And the transition goes something like this. Before I get down to work, let me just explain to you how I'm gonna, how I'd like to see things happen. First of all, I'd like to ask you guys a few questions. Then I'd like to take a look at your home. Then I'd like to show you some stuff. Then I'd like to go over the numbers. And then finally, walk you through all the forms. And by doing that, it should put you in a good position to make a decision. Does that sound okay? Mm-hmm. And from there, now I'm going back to number 1, which is really, I'm going to ask you guys a bunch of questions. Now there's a whole lot to know about asking questions, because to me, asking questions is more of an art. Asking questions is probably one of the, I would say, the most important parts of a presentation. And because it's within the questions where you're really trying to achieve 3 things. First, you're trying to get some information. Second, you're really using questions as an additional form of building rapport. And third, it's the questions that really help keep them engaged. Because when people disengage, you're not communicating anymore. So we want to go through some of those. And I want to make a logical statement. I want this to sink in for a minute. Because you're in their home. How can you give a reasonable prognosis if you didn't do a good diagnosis? I mean, you're there to help them. You're there to actually tell them what they need to do or give them options. And that becomes more of a prognosis. But if you don't have information, if you haven't truly gotten the information, and the information that most people focus on is maybe not the right information. And so that's why we're asking the questions. And I want you just to imagine this. Imagine a scenario where you go to the doctor's office and you've been feeling some kind of a pain, and so you're sitting on that that table, with the cushion, with a piece of paper, the paper they pull over it. You think you want to draw on it with crayons, and you're sitting there, and the doctor comes walking in. And you haven't even met the doctor. The doctor comes walking in, and there you are, kind of in your skivvies. You got your ass opened up to everything. And he pulls your folder down, and here's just what happens. And just see how this feels. And he leaves. How do you feel? I mean, really, he didn't say anything. He left. What happened?
Nervous.
Yeah, nervous. Do you feel nervous?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many things that, the first reaction, I don't know what, I wonder, and suddenly your expectation is, I was just feeling a pain, but he never asked me anything. Then he comes back in 5 minutes later, and he just says, you're probably going to die. Brain tumor. And he leaves again. Now what do you think? I mean, do you think that he's telling you good information? Is he giving you good information?
I think he's a quack.
Why? Why do you think he's a quack?
He didn't examine me.
Right. See, this is the problem. Is if that doctor didn't have any bedside manner. I mean, what is bedside manner? Isn't it really just the ability to build rapport and connect with someone and engage them? Bedside manner, the biggest complaint people have about doctors is he was a quack. He was an ass. He was an arrogant bastard. All those things. And where does it come from? Now, how is that any different than someone who goes into a house, they barge through the door, they've got a CMA, and they go like this, 300. I mean, isn't that about the same thing? It's like giving you the information without really knowing where it is so out of left field that we would not accept it anywhere else. And this kind of takes us back to, how do people even listen to you, and how do they know you care? Because you've heard this before, that people don't really care about what you know. Until what? until
They
they
know
know
how much
that.
you care.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta know, the doctor came in and him doing the bedside manner is nothing more than him sitting there and just asking you a couple questions. And trying to be personable is bedside manner, being personable, building rapport. If you go into someone's house and they don't think you care, then why would they care about what you know? And typical agent behavior would be, well, let me tell them what I know. You know, I'm going to go in and tell them what I know. I'm going to go in there and let me tell them, because I've sold 100 houses. They need to know that. And when they tell me they think it's worth 300, I'll tell them, because they want to know what I need to. I need to let them know what I know, because they need to know that. That's ego. So you have to kind of deal with this angst of knowledge, because knowledge itself is either about the product or about the people. The product is the house. Most agents spend more time looking for the information about the house and less time about the people. They might spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes on the house trying to come up with, you know, what do they know about the house, what do they need to know about the house, and then they spend no time, what do I need to know about the people, before they start saying, hey, let me tell you what I know. I've got a CMA that says your house is worth $300,000. And they're wondering, well, why do the people like push back? Why do the people push back? So we're going to take that angst of knowledge and we're going to go from doing a CMA to have information about the product to helping people really understand that you care. And the way they're going to see that you care is you're going to focus on asking questions, because questions helps them know that you care. And really it helps you develop the rapport, just like the bedside manner. Because even though the doctor comes in and has you weigh on the scale every time you visit them, that's just information, but it's more about building the repair. We know this: if you spend more time on the people and less time on the house, you'll get better at the people, because there isn't a whole lot to know about the house. If you know nothing about the house, but you learn everything about the people, can you get them to make a decision? Mm-hmm. But if you spend too much time on the house and not enough time on the people, what kind of decision are they going to make?
Uneducated.
Because they don't care what you know, because they don't know that you care. So we're going to break through these questions, and we're going to talk about how do you answer the questions so that you can take people and help them become educated. Educated people make educated decisions. Bad decisions are made from uneducated people. Your job is to educate people, but how can you educate people if you don't first have your information? So we're going to do the diagnosis. We're going to go in there and we're going to talk about how do you ask questions so that you build the rapport. Because if you have rapport, they hear you. If you don't have rapport, they don't hear you. If you understand how to ask the questions, you're going to develop the rapport. So we're going to go into, you know, why you get this information, build the rapport, connect with them, and then going from there, what kind of questions and how to ask the questions. Cool.